Welcome to the weightlifting platform, where it's tough to concentrate on sport when issues larger than weightlifting are happening in the world, but we're going to try. The weightlifting platform is brought to you by the Panamerican Weightlifting Federation. I'm your host, Richard Mason. On this week's show, she's new to weightlifting, but she's adding to the recent surge of success with the women of British weightlifting. We'll talk with and meet Jessica Gordon-Brown. For our tip of the week, a Turkish lifter will show us some stretches and tell us why they're important for athlete health. And for our regular feature, Good to Know, was Tokyo the cleanest Olympics in weightlifting ever? First, here are the headlines. The sports world is dealing with issues far beyond the field of play. The grave situation in Kyiv and other parts of Ukraine has led the International Olympic Committee to recommend to all international sports, including the International Weightlifting Federation, not invite or allow Russian or Belarusian athletes or officials to participate in international competitions. If, because of short notice or legal reasons, that it's not possible, the IOC is recommending they compete as neutrals with no national symbols, colors, flags, or anthems. The IOC has also issued an urgent recommendation to not organize any sports events in Russia or Belarus. If the reasoning behind the decision, the IOC cites that it isn't fair that because of war in their country, Ukrainian athletes wouldn't be able to participate in sport. The statement says the Ukrainian Olympic Committee is in the hearts and thoughts of the IOC's executive board. In related, the European Weightlifting Federation is looking for a new host for the European Youth Championships that was scheduled for Kazan, Russia in August. The EWF stated it is deeply concerned about the safety of its members in the conflict area. According to the website Inside the Games, 2 countries have expressed an interest in stepping up to hold the meet. And the final qualifying meets have been held for athletes hoping to participate in the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham, England this summer. Events were held in Singapore, Canada, New Zealand, England, and Mauritius. Results are being tabulated, and then the final lists will be hammered out. Competition in Birmingham runs July 30th to August 3rd. And those are today's headlines. Up next, Good to Know. Now, the topic that no one wants to talk about. It's just a matter of not wanting to jinx it. But really, 6 months after the Olympics in Tokyo, there's no word about any positive tests for banned substances at weightlifting at the last Olympics. So was weightlifting 100% clean at the Games? Perfect? Hopefully. But don't forget, samples collected are kept by the International Testing Agency with the blessing of the IOC, and they have the right to reanalyze as science improves. It was that reanalysis which meant many medal reallocations after the London Olympics in 2012 and Beijing 2008. Was it the cleanest Games ever? Time will tell. And that is good to know. Now, time to talk. Jessica Gordon-Brown lifted weights in the last World Championships in Tashkent, Uzbekistan in December. To date, it was her first International Weightlifting Federation meet. But that doesn't mean that she's new to high-level sport, and it doesn't mean that she's done. She could just be getting warmed up, and we're going to find out. Welcome to the weightlifting platform, Jessica.
Hi. How are you doing, Richard?
Now, we'll start here. Normally I ask, the first question is, how did you get involved in weightlifting? But I got to start here. Jessica or Jess? What do you prefer?
Jess. Jess is good.
Fantastic. Now, Jess, how were you first exposed to weightlifting, and how did you get started?
Well, I have a background in lots of sports. I started off with gymnastics, as most weightlifters do, and I later moved on to judo, and I was doing judo at university. I was on the international circuit, kind of as like a stepping up to hopefully competing at the World Championships of Judo. But I kind of found weightlifting when I hurt my shoulder, which meant I couldn't really do judo for a few months. And my S&C coach introduced me to the idea of weightlifting, and he said you'd be quite good at it. And I was actually really, really, really bad. at the technique, but I was very strong. horrendously bad. And so I wanted to prove to him that I could work on it, and it was not great for about a year. But luckily, when I left university, I found my now coach, Christian McPhee, and he's pretty much taken me from noob to where I am now, and it's been quite a few good 3 years, I think, three or 4 years. Can't really tell.
Now,
Yeah.
our sport, weightlifting, has lost a lot of athletes because of shoulder injuries. I don't know that we've picked up many because of shoulder injuries. The movement from snatch and clean and jerk, it doesn't impact the injury that you had?
So I injured my AC joint doing judo, which means, because with judo, when you get thrown on the floor, you can land in a number of different ways. There's no linear movement. Like, you can get injured just doing like a forward roll. With weightlifting, the movements are pretty much the same most of the time. So just because it's more predictable, I can work around my AC joint injury, which is pretty much now healed up. But I do occasionally get some shoulder niggles here and there. But in terms of like overall, it doesn't really bother me. But it means I can't really go back to judo, just in case I re-injure the shoulder that I landed on back in 2017.
Okay, so judo is pretty much done because you don't have that control when you're thrown.
Yeah, I still teach it to children, but I don't think I'll be doing it anytime soon, which is sad, but
okay.
Well,
if you can keep up with coaching, that helps.
Yeah.
Now, Great Britain seems to be going through a boom with women's weightlifting. Emily Campbell's got an Olympic silver medal from Tokyo. Sarah Davis was one lift away from a medal as well in Tokyo. Was that you were already starting to get involved, but you weren't competing internationally when that happened yet? Is that new for you? Do you get to see these women training every day, or are they just in different parts of Britain and you read about them on the interweb?
Well, they're actually both based up north. I'm down in London, and I think Sarah's up in Atlas Weightlifting, and Emily's kind of around the same area, up north, around Loughborough-ish area. And but every 6 weeks we have an England Commonwealth squad that is held. Actually, it's this weekend, and it's up in Nottingham, and all of the lifters in the UK or in England get together, and we do a little training camp Friday and Saturday. And it's just nice because you get to see all the other top level lifters in the country, and you get to talk to them about training and stuff. So I do see them often. I do talk to them sometimes online. And when I'm away on trips, like the World Championships, like we'll be roomies and have lunch and stuff together. So I do speak to them quite a bit, and it's just really nice to see that women are getting really high up in weightlifting. So yeah.
Now, tell me about your first meet, because once you're starting off, it's a different experience. Judo, there's you and somebody else out there with a referee, all on the field of play. In weightlifting, it's you, a bar, some weights, some collars, and at least 4 meters either side, where you are the spotlight. What was that like for you?
My first ever weightlifting competition, or my first World Championships? Oh, well, it was very, very scary actually, because the referee is literally a meter away from you. I did it at the club I'm at now. It was a university competition. I was trying to qualify for Bucks, and I was currently studying at Brighton University, which is down south. And I came up to Brunel, which is where I train now. And the competition was just a little friendly one, but I was so scared. And I actually re-hurt my shoulder in the back room trying to warm up, but I just didn't realize until after the competition. But it's fine now. It's just at the time, I think the adrenaline just made me carry on. But it was a really great experience, and I really enjoyed it. And obviously, I've not turned back since. So, yeah, great day. Great day.
You keep coming back, so that's a good sign.
Yeah.
Now, tell me. Let's fast forward. Let's talk about your first senior worlds in Tashkent. Were you happy with what happened in the back room? The platform, was it an interesting experience? I don't know. Have you been to Uzbekistan before?
Nope. Nope, never been to that side of the world. Yeah, it was. I was very scared. In the back room, it was just so busy. Luckily, I had an excellent team of coaches with me. I had Dave Sawyer and I had Stu Martin, who are the national coaches for the GB ladies, and they are just excellent at like helping people handle pressure. I'd never been to anything like that before. Like in judo, you've got people that you're fighting, but as you said, you're literally the main spotlight. And all I remember is I made the mistake of not having any caffeine before I competed, which didn't help because I was very tired. And I wasn't expecting the stage to be quite so big. When I saw it a few days before, I was thinking, oh my gosh, this is huge. This is the biggest thing I've ever been to. But I think, although with all those emotions going on and the shaky start I had, I missed my first 2 snatches, which is not great. But I managed to pull it back and I managed to hit my final snatch. And after that, after I got that the lift in, it was fine. But I was just so, I think it was just like deer in headlights. But best experience I've ever had, and I can't wait to do it again. So yeah.
Okay, now I have this. This is a question that I'm not sure if I should be asking, so I'm going to ask it, and I don't know the answer, and you may not want to answer it, so bear with me. So I didn't get this. I was there. I didn't understand this. Okay. The event in Tashkent was simultaneous with the Commonwealth Championships.
Yeah.
A lot of the athletes, if you won your weight class in the Commonwealth Champs, you got an automatic berth to Birmingham.
I don't know if that's true. But okay.
That was true. That is true.
Okay.
First place gets you automatically in. But the team from GBE, and I know GBE makes up a bunch of different countries in the world, but the GBE athletes weren't entered into the Commonwealth Championship, even though automatic berths were available. Does that? I'm assuming you want to go to Birmingham. Was that something that you were aware of, or was that a strategic thing? Do you know?
As far as I'm aware, we were entered into the Commonwealth Championships. But
okay.
We were, and because there was a lot of uncertainty about COVID and things like that, our governing body were waiting to hear back on whether it was going ahead or not. And we had all the flights booked out for, I think we had a team of 30 going. And obviously only 4 of us ended up going. And what ended up happening is they didn't want to send athletes out without prior proper confirmation from the Commonwealth Weightlifting Federation. And they made the decision to pull the team a day before we were supposed to fly so that they could save the athletes the hassle of going out there and then not competing. And then when we were flying, which was the day before, I think it was a few days before the competition started, we got an email through saying it was going ahead. But once you've pulled all the teams, you can't then put them back in. So I think it was it wasn't a strategic decision. It was just an unfortunate event that happened at the time. And I don't know much more
I was just baffled by it because there was some very good performances by GBE athletes who didn't come back out to get a medal for the Commonwealth part. And I'm like, they're part of the Commonwealth. What happened? And then nobody really, I couldn't get a clear answer there. So is Birmingham one of your goals?
Yes. Fingers crossed. We've got a final qualifier in, I think it's April, near the end of April, which effectively is where the England team decide their final athletes that are going. Obviously, because I'm based in England, I'll be going to England. But it's the same for all of the governing bodies and all of the home counties in the country. So the goal is to get a really good total in April, which is what we're all prepping for at the moment. But luckily, because I did the World Championships and I did the British Championships a few weeks back, I've already put in a good performance, and we'll just have to wait and see what the decision is at the end of the day. But the fingers crossed, that's the goal. Has always been the goal.
Now, do you have other goals? Like, do you have a snatch number that you want to hit in your life, or is it? Do you want to qualify for a certain event, or are you working on getting an MBE? Like, do you have goals that you can share with us here as part of the weightlifting platform?
Yeah, I've always had a goal ever since I was a little girl to go to the Olympics. I've tried 3 sports. I've done 3 sports at an international level. I think I finally found the sport that suits me best. I'm hoping third time lucky with all of the qualification and everything. And I just really, really want to wear the Team GB kit and fly the flag for the country. I think it would be amazing, and because of Paris being maybe the last Olympics, weightlifting, not sure. I just really want to give it the best shot I can over the next 3 years. 2 years now. Oh, wow. And yeah, so that's one of my goals. And in terms of like weights, I'd like to snatch 100 and clean and jerk 130 in my short career as a weightlifter. I think that would be amazing. Really, really hoping that will happen. Yeah.
That is a significant number. I am not sure what else to ask. I think it's time to move on, and we're gonna take you away from weightlifting a little bit, and we're gonna ask you some tough questions. We're gonna put you on the clock next.
Okay. Oh, no.
Time now to put you through your paces. We're going to ask you the tough questions. We're going to delve just finding out a little bit more about you. Not really hard questions, but we're going to add the pressure of a 60-second clock. You're used to it. Let's see how you perform.
Okay.
First question. In 3, 2, 1. Dog person or cat person?
Oh, both. Dog.
That's not that hard a question. Oh my
Yes,
goodness.
it is.
If you're watching past the TV and a movie comes on, one movie that you have to stop and watch if you see it.
Oh, Lord of the Rings.
There you go. Favorite weightlifter?
Oh, controversial, but Toma. Yep.
Song that makes you want to change the station or turn off the stereo?
Any grime or rap that's on the radio at the moment, it's awful. It's bad.
Okay. Favorite food that you really shouldn't eat for your weight class?
Sushi.
Best thing about Birmingham?
It's up north. Cheap houses.
Fantastic. Is it easier to build sets for a Shakespearean thrust or a proscenium?
Oh, I don't know. Probably build them.
Okay. I thought I read on one of your bios, one of the things that you like to build sets. And,
I do like to build them.
I'd throw a theater question in there.
Yeah. Film sets, though, not theater sets.
Oh, sorry. Okay, there you go.
That's okay.
I very much appreciate you taking the time to talk with us. I really appreciate it. Great job and best of luck. Hope to see you in Paris. Hope to see you elsewhere around the world.
Thank you very much. It was really nice to meet you.
Tip of the week is next. Training doesn't start with a barbell loaded to the max. You need to ease into it. It usually doesn't end that way either. Turkey's Aysel Özkan shares some tips about the importance of warming up and stretching on our tip of the week.
Merhaba, ben Aysel Özkan, Türk halterciyim. Size antrenman öncesi ısınma ve sonrasında da soğuma hakkında kısa bilgiler vereceğim. Isınma ve soğuma hareketleri sakatlığı önlemek için çok önemlidir. Ben ısınmalarımda genellikle güç bandı kullanıyorum. Hazırsanız başlayalım. göstereceğim soğuma egzersizleriyle sonlandırıyorum. Isınma ve soğuma egzersizlerinde size tavsiyem bu kadar. Sağlıklı antrenman.
Thanks for joining us for this week's edition of the Weightlifting Platform, brought to you by the Pan American Weightlifting Federation. Like what you see here, bookmark us. We can be found on YouTube. You can also like the IWF on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, IWFNET. I'm Richard Mason. Good lifting.